In Excel, the most important symbols in a formula are parentheses in order to determine what happens first. So I'm just going to put these here to remind ourselves of that. Next most important in a formula would be the asterisk, which means multiplication, and the slash key, which means division. And the last most important are the plus symbol for addition and the minus symbol for subtraction. If you write a formula and you don't use parentheses, which are at the top of the list, Excel looks for those operations that use the asterisk or slash and does them first. Then it looks for the pluses and minuses. So back to our formula here, in this cell, and we see it up in the formula bar. If we don't have parentheses here, if we were to take those out, the first operation that would occur here would be the division. And Excel would divide B4 by B4, getting an answer of 1. Then it would do the subtraction, C4 minus 1. We'd end up with the value 29, and we'd probably be scratching our heads wondering what's going on. The reason this all seems odd to us is that we're used to calculators where operations are performed as they are entered. And our minds might be telling us, do the subtraction first and then the division, but that won't happen unless we use the parentheses. So I'm going to put these back in again, or better yet, just hit escape, and this will go back to the original form. Most people have learned how to use parentheses in grade school or high school math, and they remember parentheses are a convenient way of grouping information so that it gets done in the order that you wish. You may have noticed here how we change the content of the formula by actually editing the cell's content. At different times, you do want to edit the content of the cell without changing all of it. If the entry is small, be it text or formula or a number, you can simply retype it. But if the entry is longer, as it sometimes is in the case of formulas, we want to show you a couple of methods of how to take care of that. We considered editing the formula in cell C6 by pointing up to the formula bar. In fact, we clicked there and we actually did editing. Notice, by the way, that when you do click there, that Excel highlights in color cells that are referred to in the formula. Now, I'm going to hit the X here for cancel. Perhaps a better way, at least I think many people would agree with this, a better way to edit a cell is to double-click on the cell. And the formula is displayed on the spot. And notice how C4 is blue, and the cell C4 has a blue outline on it. B4 is green, and the cell B4 is green. So it points you to the relevant cells. But the whole technique of editing here is, as you do edit, you can hit the home key to put the pointer at the beginning of the cell content. You can hit the end key to put it at the end. Or you can simply use the mouse to click at any point in here and enter new information. You can use the backspace key, for example. If I did that, that took out the information to the left of the pointer. I'm going to put it back in now. You can use the delete key to delete information to the right of the blinking cursor. If I hit delete now, the slash will disappear. And I'm going to put it back. So editing on the spot is useful. And if we were finished here, and we didn't really change it, we just hit enter. But you can go to any cell and double-click if you want to do editing. Suppose % profit growth here. Maybe you want to say, you want to alter that a bit. Double-click, and you see that there's a blinking cursor right in the cell. You could change the spelling or the capitalization or the wording as desired. When you're finished, just click somewhere else or hit the... and when you're finished, just click in another cell or click on the green check. And there's even an older technique for those of you who have been using spreadsheets for quite a while. The F2 key still works as an editor. Click F2, and the information is displayed in the cell. If we agree that this 50% is correct, and I think most people would, the difference here is 10, and we had started with 20. We grew by a half, therefore 50%. We'd want to drag this across the cells into G6. And 0%, is that correct? Yes, it is. We grew from 30 to 30. No growth, therefore 0%. We grew from 30 to 40. We grew by 10, which is a third, 1/3 of the 30, therefore 33%. 50%. Small growth here, only 5 out of 60. We grew by 5, we started with 60. So here are the answers for percentage of growth. If we want an additional decimal place, we'll point into the toolbar and increase decimal. So now we see the 8 really was an 8.3%, and the 33 was 33.3. Now, one of the points of all this is that we now have even more information about our 12 original numbers. And I'm not necessarily saying, and I hope you wouldn't either, that more information is always better. We presume that this tells you something about what's happening with your profits, and if you track this month to month over a year, 2 years, you begin to gather some insight about what's happening. So we're giving you ideas here about how you make a worksheet become a dynamic tool. Remember, out of all these numbers that we see here on our screen, only these 12 are real, pure numbers. We type them in. The other information across the bottom and to the right-hand side has been derived from these 12 original entries. Now, there's another little feature here, an enhancement actually, that helps as you're performing some calculations. If you're doing totals, now long ago we did totals in column H,